The snow came early that year, blanketing the city in quiet perfection. Liam tightened his coat and checked his watch again. Past 8 p.m. Ella was late getting home from the church recital. His daughter never forgot anything. She'd promised to come straight home. The wind sliced through his jacket as he hurried past flickering streetlights. He didn't notice the black SUV idling across the street, its windows fogged. Inside sat Frank Dawson and Sarah Hughes, founders of the Heartspan Initiative, a nonprofit that secretly sought ordinary people with extraordinary integrity. They'd been watching Liam for weeks. Tonight was their final test. At the old brick grocery store, Liam spotted Ella, bundled in a red scarf, holding 2 steaming cups of cocoa. "Sorry, Daddy," she said, breathless. "I wanted to surprise you." He smiled, heart softening. "You're the surprise, kiddo." As they turned the corner, a woman stumbled in the snow ahead of them, groceries spilling, a baby crying. Liam didn't hesitate. He knelt, helping her gather cans, adjusting the baby's blanket. The woman murmured thanks, but he waved it off. He didn't see Frank taking notes in the SUV. "He never waits to be asked," Sarah whispered. "He just helps." Frank nodded. "He's the one." Liam carried the woman's bag to her car, hands numb. She insisted on giving him a few dollars for his trouble, but he refused. "Keep it," he said, "your kid needs it more." She smiled through tears. As she drove off, Ella tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, you're freezing." He laughed. "We're almost home, sweetheart." They reached their apartment, dim, drafty, but filled with warmth from the little Christmas tree they'd decorated with paper stars. Ella hung her coat and began humming carols. Liam sat at the table, opening a pile of overdue bills. The weight of them pressed harder than the winter cold. He rubbed his temples. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve, and he still hadn't found work since the factory shut down. The landlord's note on the door, final warning, felt like a countdown. He had $17 left. He whispered a prayer, half faith, half habit. Just then, Ella skipped over, holding a handmade envelope. "Merry early Christmas." Inside was a drawing of the 2 of them standing under a huge star, smiling. "That's us when we get a house again," she said. Liam's throat tightened. "It's perfect." He didn't notice the small silver camera hidden across the street, still recording his every move. Morning came with blinding sunlight on snow. Liam bundled Ella up and walked to the corner diner for pancakes, her favorite tradition. The waitress, Donna, handed him the check with a wink. "Someone already covered your breakfast, hon," Liam frowned. "Who?" Donna shrugged. "Guy in a gray coat. Said, 'Merry Christmas.'" He looked out, but the sidewalk was empty. Sarah and Frank had just left. On the napkin, they'd scrawled a note, "Meet us tonight, 7 p.m., at the gallery across from St. Luke's. It's about work." Liam hesitated, could be a scam, but hope, fragile as frost, stirred again. At 7 p.m., he arrived at the gallery, hand clutching the napkin. The place glowed gold from inside. People in suits mingled, glasses clinked, art lined the walls. A guard at the door stopped him. "Invitation." Liam froze. "Someone told me, name." "Liam Harris." The guard checked a list, then nodded. "You're expected." Inside, he felt wildly out of place. Then he saw 3 identical little girls, triplets, in matching lilac dresses, twirling near a buffet table. They looked up and smiled. "Hi, are you the men from the snow?" one asked. His jaw dropped, it was the same woman's children. Before he could reply, Sarah Hughes appeared. "You must be Liam. They told me you helped their mother." He nodded, confused. "Yes, but how?" She smiled. "That was me. And these are my nieces." His breath caught. "You set that up?" "A small test," she admitted. "To see if kindness still exists without cameras or applause." "But there were cameras," he said quietly. She didn't deny it. "We needed to be sure." "Frank will explain." Frank approached, firm handshake. "Mr. Harris, you've impressed us more than you realize. We run Heartspan, a nonprofit focused on rebuilding communities through human integrity. We test people quietly, those who act right when no one's watching. You passed. Liam blinked. This was a test. Every act tells a story, Frank said. You told the right one. Sarah added, we'd like to offer you a position. You'll help us identify others like you. Liam stammered. But I'm not qualified. You are, she said softly. You lead with heart. The triplets giggled, holding out a folder tied with ribbon. Inside lay an employment contract, a modest salary, and a handwritten note. The world doesn't need perfect men, it needs honest ones. Liam's eyes burned. Why me? Frank replied, because you didn't wait for a miracle, you became one. The words hit harder than any paycheck ever could. Sarah smiled. Merry Christmas, Liam. Ella ran in from the door. Frank had arranged for her to be brought safely. She leapt into her father's arms, laughing. For the first time in years, hope didn't feel like a risk, it felt like home. He looked at the contract again, the weight of it now feeling like armor rather than obligation. He had traded $17 for a future, a trade secured by the realization that he'd been observed, tested, and ultimately rewarded by the very people he thought he was helping. That night became the foundation of everything that followed, built on one truth: the best way to climb out of the hole is to first help someone else find the ladder, even if you have to pretend you need it too. His work at the nonprofit became all-consuming, not for the salary, but for the mission to lift others with the same quiet dignity he once carried. He became the conscience of the organization, reminding Frank and Sarah that while testing had value, the first act of faith, the willingness to stop, was the real proof of character. His relationship with Ella deepened. Fear was replaced by stability. She blossomed into a curious, confident child, always asking when she could meet the twin testers again. Liam would just smile, the memory of that cold night and $17 a distant echo. His life was no longer measured in lost paychecks, but in the strength of the lives he helped build, a legacy born from one perfectly executed Christmas Eve deception.